Welcome to another day in the Matrix. This is Red Pill Podcast 194, and I hope you're all having an amazing weekend so far. We have a big podcast today. I actually decided about 24 hours ago to run a poll over on Discord. And this is my first time ever doing this, but I effectively reached out to the community and I asked, would you rather me cover my new venture capital investments for tomorrow's Red Pill or the usual Red Pill with 4 to 5 different altcoins that you guys voted on this week? And you actually voted on a mix of both, which I sort of anticipated by me giving that third option. I think clearly if I wouldn't have, probably just would have went with this. But I decided to be generous. I sort of anticipated that you guys would want me to cover a couple of other projects as well. But this is in reference to some venture capital plays that I made last week on the 9th of December. So we'll be going over this list. It was really cool to run this poll with you guys. I've never done it before. It's probably something I'll do more in the future. But anyways, so that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be doing this list of coins as well as a couple of other projects that you guys voted on. And then next week, we'll go back to the normal swing of things. So before we get started, just make sure you get relaxed, get comfortable. It's been a wild week for the markets, so I'm sure your portfolios are looking pretty awesome. But still, make sure to get comfortable, relax, grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea if it's the morning time, or if it's a little later out there and you want to get spicy, maybe a glass of wine or beer or a shot of whiskey or whatever you like, whatever you're into. I'm going with some plain distilled water today, like a total normal person. Actually, no, that's not true. Normal people usually drink tap water. But anyways, I appreciate you guys. I'm feeling a really good energy today. We have so much to cover. I'm going to have about maybe 8 or 9 projects to check out with you later. And cool little decode to kick things off, recapping some information that we've sort of been preparing for this exact time of the year, leading into Saturnalia and the darkest days of the year, which back in 2020 were actually really awesome for the crypto market. So I've been playing a lot with these fractals, which I normally never do, but when I'm seeing the synchronicity and it's undeniable, well, of course, I need to pay attention. So let's get into today's podcast. A couple things to mention, though, is if you need Discord access, just go ahead and send me a direct message here on Patreon with your Discord username, and I will reply back to you with a Discord server invite. Please do not comment below this post with asking for the Discord. Do not do it. Stop doing it. Everyone keeps doing it, and there's no need to, because I can't help you that way. And the same thing with email. Please do not email me asking for Discord access. You've been warned. Also, I'm working on a new system for Discord that I'm hoping to have launched before the end of the year so that it could kind of remove this time that I have to spend explaining this every single week. I'm sure the OGs in the community would really appreciate this, but there's new people joining our community all the time, and I'm very grateful for the support, and I'm very grateful to be a part of your journey here and experiencing, this wacky world together. But the Discord thing has been a blessing and a curse, and I've been doing some soul searching, and I've come up with a better system, I believe, and I hope to implement that before the end of the year. So moving forward, 2025 is going to be really, really beautiful. I'm excited. But yeah, for now, if you need Discord access, just go ahead and send me a direct message here on Patreon. Do not comment below or email me. Also, we're for our coin voting system, I just need to say this now because you guys are still voting on things like VeChain and HBAR, and these are projects I just covered 2 weeks ago. So perhaps this is newer people to our community, and that's perfectly fine. Or also it's people that they come into this new post of the Patreon Red Pill, and they immediately comment something like they don't even watch the Red Pill first. So I get it. It's exciting, but please please follow these instructions. So a lot of the time, these submissions that are getting a lot of votes are actually projects we've covered within like the last 50 days, and that's not what we do around here. So I really need to make sure that if you're going to vote for altcoins, that it's stuff that we haven't covered for at least 3 months. And it's very easy to figure this out. Use the search function here in Patreon or inside of Discord. If you go to my membership and you type in the search function in my exclusive posts and you say VeChain, for instance, enter, you will find all the times that I've ever wrote the word VeChain. And it's almost exclusively during a Red Pill podcast. So that's a cool way to find the projects. And I'm sorry to take up the time today with this. It's just we've been growing here. We have a lot of new people joining our community. And I just want to make sure that everything goes smooth and we could alleviate our comment section inside of this post from unnecessary stuff that is covered within the first 5 minutes of these podcasts. So getting into things, also just another quick update. Due to popular demand and many supporters reaching out to me requesting for this, I decided I'll be running a holiday sale this year. And since you're Patreon supporters, you get an even bigger discount from the one that you unlocked by joining our mastermind community initially. And of course, you'll have an even bigger discount than when this sale goes live to the public. So if you go over to watersabove.com/store, you can use the promo code 25MMX at checkout, all lowercase. And you could also find that link to this website we're looking at now and the promo code in the description of this video here in Patreon and the pinned comment below. And this sale is officially live now. So this is early access before the sale goes live to the public when I release my next YouTube video, likely around mid next week, which also aligns with when I'm planning to add a new masterclass to my decoding mastermind over here. It's dedicated to the Trinity. I've already added to this 2 sections called Perception Mastery, as well as the Duality Masterclass, and also my Crypto Decoding Blueprint. So this Trinity Masterclass will be added very, very soon. I'm aiming to have this Trinity Masterclass added to the Decoding Mastermind before the end of next week, and definitely before Christmas Eve. I might even be able to get it done over the next 3 days. I'm trying so hard. So by getting this decoding mastermind now, you'll be locked in at the current price, and it's a one-time payment for lifetime access. So anyone that's invested in my decoding mastermind in the past, there's no further action needed. I'll be adding the Trinity Masterclass to your decoding mastermind course you purchased over on my website, watersabove.com. And you'll receive a notification here as well as an email update from me when it's been added to your course. So there's no need for you to reach out to customer support or leave any comments about this or anything. I'll make sure the whole process goes very smoothly, and I appreciate your patience while I finish up this and film it over the upcoming week. But as I said, no further actions needed. If you already have the Decoding Mastermind, you'll be seeing this Trinity Masterclass added to that very, very soon. I'll be sending you an update. Now, let's get into today's Red Pill. So today is officially December 15th, the full moon in Gemini, and Gemini is ruled by Mercury. And today is also the last day of Mercury retrograde. So essentially, Mercury begins to station direct tomorrow. And in sidereal astrology, tomorrow is when the sun will be moving into the sign of Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. And if you have my crypto decoding blueprint that I just brought up a moment ago, you'll know the connections between Jupiter and Bitcoin. And Gematria also links these together as well. We have Bitcoin giving you this 36 and 45, as well as Jupiter giving you the 36 and 45 in the same ciphers. And then we have Jupiter giving you 27. The mirror of 27 is 72, which ties back to Bitcoin, 72. And the creator of Bitcoin is this archetype mythology of Satoshi Nakamoto. And Satoshi is Saturn. And this upcoming Tuesday, December 17th, which we have right over here, it starts Saturnalia, the Saturnalia festival, between the dates of the 17th through 23rd. This effectively runs through the 51st week of this year, and this number 51 and 15, this connection was something I've brought up recently for XRP regarding the number 15. XRP equals 15 in Chaldean cipher. And that based on this code, it would make sense for XRP to break through this micro resistance it's been chopping through, that it's been dealing with since initially topping out for its micro cycle on December 2nd. So let me quickly pull this up and show you. We have that date right there, highest daily close so far. We did go a little bit higher the following day, but this is what matters most, the daily close. So this comes back to December 2nd. Now, this was also the exact beginning of the 49th week of the year, December 2nd. And I shared a decode for this, tying the number 49 to Ripple, as Ripple Labs are in San Francisco, California, and the team that was in the Super Bowl this year, the NFL, was the San Francisco 49ers. And this number 49 had a balanced but overall negative energy this year. And this is obvious since although the San Francisco 49ers were technically one of the best teams this year, they made it all the way to the Super Bowl, and that Super Bowl game was so close that it even went into overtime, which is very rare. It was the second Super Bowl to ever go into overtime. It shows you how balanced this energy was for the number 49, but when all was said and done, they still technically lost that game. So the 49ers lost. And then remember, this archetype, we're talking about Satoshi Nakamoto, which is really relevant to this upcoming week with Saturnalia. Satoshi turned 49 this year. And from the moment this archetype turned 49, you're going to see that the market, so that was right here, the market went into effectively a pretty long-term sideways consolidation with a overall 30% correction from there to there. So this 49, we were looking very bullish into the 49th birthday of Satoshi. And then this all was kind of triggered by that eclipse that we had a couple days later. This was the Great American Eclipse. This is very, very important. We're talking about America. We're talking about San Francisco. We're talking about California. We're talking about the US election as well, which is where we're going next with this decode. Because regarding this information I got for the Super Bowl, that was all the way back at the beginning of this year. And I used it to decode the election, which had a couple of absolute gems for Kamala Harris. Notably, she was born in Oakland, California, which that's the San Francisco Bay Area. And that connects us to the 49ers. And her name, Kamala Harris, also equals 49 in Gematria. And I knew this was a losing code, even though it's a very powerful code too, because it has positive as it runs up, and then it has some sort of, I don't want to say negative anymore because it's not the most fair thing to say. Because when you're talking about something that makes it all the way to the big moment, it's still pretty epic, right? I mean, I'm not saying I support Kamala Harris or care about this at all. It's politics at the end of the day, but I am bringing this up now just as like a quick side note that it's a positive thing in many ways. It's just if the 49 has to face off against dualistically something else that has a more positive code, that's what we consider as decoders. So I hope that makes sense, right? There were so many positive things that even allowed for Kamala Harris to be part of this election scam. Notably, she was born in the year of the the wood dragon, right? Yeah, she was born in the year of the wood dragon. Also, apologies. I've been working so much this lately on my Trinity masterclass that my brain is like, it's like almost moments away from glitching out. I could like feel my brain growing in my skull. It's crazy. So if I make any, if I say anything that's incorrect, please check me on it, but I'll do my best. I just feel like this is a powerful thing to explain because a lot of people want to know about the energetics of the code and how to use the code, right? It's not just about identifying the code, it's how do we use it. That's what I want to teach everyone. That was the purpose of this decoding mastermind. It's not just about having all these numbers and all these connections. It's what does it all mean, right? So this is what I'm trying to say here with regards to the number 49. It was very powerful. This individual made it to the election, which is like the Super Bowl effectively, and then they lost. Just like the 49ers, they did so well the whole season, they made it to the Super Bowl and they lost. Just like XRP, which is tied to the 49, had this crazy breakout all the way into the 49th week of the year, and then it corrects. We had Bitcoin doing amazing all the way up until Satoshi turns 49, and then we have a 30% correction. You see? That's kind of like probably the most powerful thing I could teach right now. It's not that 49 is always bad. It's that it has context. And I think I just provided you the context. And what I was saying about the wood dragon is that she was born in the year of the wood dragon back in 1964. Very powerful information because, well, this is the year of the wood dragon. So she is being brought into this ritual of the U.S. selection on purpose because of that connection. And then we also have the Clear 49 connection. And we also have the fact that the same teams that played the Super Bowl this year, the Chiefs and the 49ers, they went off against each other in 2020, which was the last election Trump had. And he went against Biden, which by winning allowed Kamala Harris to become the 49th vice president of the United States. Mind-blowing. So powerful stuff. Everything is working in harmony, like an equation. And what we're doing here at Waters Above is we're trying to teach you how to identify the numbers in the equation and then how to calculate it. And then make the best decision you possibly can with this new way of looking at reality. So let's get back to this. We have XRP, as I brought up a moment ago, broke out into perfectly the 49th week of the year. Tops on the actual 49th week of the year at $2.70, just like Ripple equals 27 by the code. 270, remove the zero, you get 27. And then XRP corrected from this week. And if you take from the absolute top over to this low, it was exactly 7 days later. And that's a perfect code because 49 is 7 squared, 7 sevens. 7 times 7 is 49. And we also have that 27 code tied to the price of XRP, initially topping with a daily close of $2.70, which also connects to Jupiter. Same cipher as Ripple, 27. And we also just brought up a moment ago how in sidereal astrology, right over here, you can see the dates. We have tomorrow, we are moving into the sign of Sagittarius, the 51st week of the year, too. Another code that ties back to XRP. And Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. That was the point of why I brought this up. So we have 270 on the close. We have the connection to Ripple in the same cipher as Jupiter, as you can see right here. And we have the price matching too, and we have the astrology matching too. This is pretty powerful. We're combining many elements right now, guys. I know it might be a little confusing for some people that are newer here, but it's okay. You know, again, that's really why I created that decoding mastermind. So any of this information that seems confusing, it will absolutely be clear to you as you've gone through that. But what's so important for me to mention here is that if I had to summarize what I think all this means, it's that I see the power coming back to XRP this upcoming week and to close out this year and continue its power up until we close out the year. So I don't see us having a death spiral or this was the end of it. I don't see it having a much more dramatic correction than the one that lasted for a very small moment. At the end of the day, we're just trading in a range right now here at this $2 to, let's call it $280 level. So I see us regarding the energetics becoming very powerful this upcoming week and to close out this year. very powerful as well. And that was a call that I actually made months ago, probably back in October, around the time we had that fourth solar eclipse of our solar cycle. This was something I was putting a lot of emphasis on all year in every interview, podcast, etc. And it had to do with New Year's. And I also showed you how back in the last cycle, if I could go to this real quick, and we were to synchronize the timing a little bit, we have this play. I think this is really important to show you because this is when we retested prior all-time highs, and this is about how long it took for us to break out. It took about 1 calendar month. Well, if we were to align this here with this day over 30 days, you're going to see it's January 1st. So this would make sense, not only looking back at the last cycle in 2017. And by the way, one thing I want to, I hope this isn't confusing anyone, but recently I've been bringing up a couple things about 2020, and I've been showing the Bitcoin chart, and then people are getting confused because they're like only focused on XRP. And here we're not only focused on XRP. We're not also only focused on Bitcoin. We're looking at everything like a recipe, and these are just ingredients in the recipe. 2017 and 2020 cycles are ingredients in this recipe. When we're talking about 2020 for Bitcoin, that means we're talking about Bitcoin. When we're talking about 2017 for XRP, we're talking about 2017 for XRP. When we're talking about a new moon or a full moon for Bitcoin, we're talking about a new moon or full moon for Bitcoin. Stop applying what we're talking about and then putting it on some other coin, because that's not how this works. Just like your mother and father could have been born 6 months different from you and have completely different code, even though both your mother and father made you. Like, that's why we use astrology, right? Well, XRP and Bitcoin that's the conversation here. They're different. They have everything about them is pretty much different besides the fact that they're both blockchain and they both trade. But yeah, guys, please do your due diligence to keep context in mind, because it's unfair, it's unfair. Look at everything as it's presented. I think that's a very fair thing to also share, right? Because we have a lot of new people coming to the community. A lot of people have never even heard about gematria, numerology, and astrology, and that's perfectly fine. I was there once too, and I'm very grateful that I'm able to be the one that could share this knowledge with you. It's an incredible privilege that I have. But please don't take something I'm saying about Bitcoin and astrology and apply that to XRP, because it's just not the same. It's not. We've been talking about this for 3 going on 4 years now, but I get it. New people to the work, it is what it is. But I hope that you see that I'm only saying this not to be negative, but to be helpful, to get you to see with a wider periphery. But getting back to this, if we were to apply the 2017 XRP move to the current market environment that we're in today, considering that for 2017, we've had a perfect mimic for what's going on in XRP lately. Obviously, this chart has played a big role in the XRP's communities, in the XRP community's kind of confidence in the work that I share. The fact that we had this breakout from phase 5 the exact same way, and the fact that we're retesting phase 1 effectively the same way, and now we've stalled out at this level in the exact same way, and now we could very well be timing this recoup period the exact same way. And that means by New Year's is when we could have this crazy move right there. And then we have to reassess, because it could lead to chop. But right now, things are looking gorgeous. I mean, everything that happened on these couple of candles that led to this, it's irrelevant. And again, I was quadrupling down on my personal feeling /TA that I did not think XRP is going to revisit the sub $1 level right now, against many people that were calling for such. So this isn't, again, a competition, but it's just the TA is the TA. And so far, this chart is playing out beautifully. I'm not going to step away from this chart. This has been my compass the whole time. And wow, what a profitable compass it's been. So I'm sticking to this. And the original call that I made was about New Year's. I even have a clip that I shared over on Instagram. So check out my Instagram at Waters Above, just spell above without the O. And you'll see I have a clip that's dedicated, quite viral too. Like, it's one that's been shared quite a bit, and it's made its way around. So it had very profound information, and this was likely shared before we even made this move, by the way. The idea of price discovery and the idea of how the next phase for XRP is going to go. So if I had to be very clear, I would say that I expect to see XRP at least $3 for New Year's, at least around New Year's. That would make a lot of sense. And we could likely be seeing price discovery into that time frame as well. But let's remain patient here, of course. No need to get emotionally invested in these specifics, because at the end of the day, we still have a couple more months ahead of us for some serious moves to the upside. And there's no need to burden yourself with day-to-day activities in the markets. And look at what happened back on, what was this, the 9th and 10th. It's just another day in the matrix. Like, there was no need to be worried about this. And look at where we are now. And it's funny because I think in my last red pill, I brought up the idea when we were trading here about downside. Maybe somebody here can timestamp it and share it as a comment when I did my XRPTA. But I brought up how if we are to have a correction, I think it's going to turn out to be a bullish W pattern. And we're forming the second V of the W right now. And that daily close that we had is perfect with December 5th. Perfect. Perfection. Okay? So who gives a fuck about the wicks? The only people that would care about this is people that were leverage trading. And if you're leverage trading that high leverage where you would get liquidated on this move, then that's on you. You should not be doing that. And this is something I've also been warning about. At this phase in the bull run, stop fucking leverage trading, okay? There's no need to. You can make so much money just riding the wave, okay? There's no need at this time to be, what's his name from Dune and learn how to get on the sandworm. It's like you're going to get eaten. Don't do that. You are going to have a lot better time. Just never go to that planet with the sandworms. But leverage trading is that place. I don't know. What's it called again? Arrakis or something? I don't know. I'm not good with movies and stuff, but you guys know what I mean if you've seen this. It's like leverage trading right now is diving into the sandworm mouth. That's exactly what it is. Sorry, I have to have fun. I know you guys appreciate it too. But New Year's, $3 for XRP makes a lot of sense. Price discovery around New Year's could very well be in the cards as soon as next week through the first week of January. That time frame, if we're still past the second week of January and we have not entered price discovery, that would be kind of dislocating from the exact move that we did back in 2017. And by the way, we don't need to be exact, but with the way that we've traded, and of course I'll cover this a little bit more in depth when I get to the XRPTA, this is a brilliant move. And what are we, 30 something, 40% from new all-time highs? So this is something that could happen very rapidly. And what I think it's going to be coupled with is Bitcoin taking another leg higher and concretely breaking above 100K. And I think we're watching that unfold as we speak. And I'll get to the Bitcoin TA in a moment. But I hope that clears a lot of things for everyone. Again, I'm simply here to provide the code that runs these markets so that you can navigate this chaos calmly and, of course, profitably. Now, getting back to this upcoming Tuesday, which I mentioned, December 17th, the start of Saturnalia. It has a 73 double-digit date numerology, and this is important because 73 is the 21st prime number, and we're talking about the beginning of Saturnalia festival, and Saturn equals 21 by the code. Again, 73 double-digit date numerology, 21st prime number, Saturn equals 21. And this number 21 is tied to the jackpot number because 7 plus 7 plus 7, or 3 sevens, adds up to 21. And this happens to be the day leaving 14 days left in the year, and that is 7 plus 7 equals 14. Also, since I brought this number 73 up, being the 21st prime number, the next total lunar eclipse that's on March 14th of 2025, is the 73rd day of the year next year. So you need to keep that in mind too, because it's tied directly to that Saturn code, and Saturn is Satoshi, and Satoshi's kind of the architect of this blockchain matrix. So whether you believe that or not, I don't give a shit. I'm just letting you know the exoteric story and where this has all gotten me, you know? And this time frame is very important for crypto. We even see this year, we had, let's look at Bitcoin just really quick. Bitcoin on March 13th, which for us this year is the 73rd day of the year, because remember the 24 year is the leap year, but we have March 13th, 73rd day of the year. Bitcoin closed at 73K that day and did not trade above 73K with a daily close all the way until literally November 6th. How fucking crazy is that? 73K, the only daily close for 237 days on the 73rd day of the year. You can't make this up. Knowing about this connection to Saturn, Satoshi, and everything that I've taught with that it's crazy. It's really helpful. It's really, really helpful. So powerful stuff. I'm just getting back now to next year's lunar eclipse and the fact that it's a total lunar eclipse on this exact date. By the way, this was the kind of around the same time frame that we had the C19 crash in 2020, which I'm not saying we will crash the same way again. I'm not saying that, but I think at least coming into a couple weeks before this, we'll start to see a correction ensue. So I just wanted to show you, we have that 73 connection. We have Saturnalia on the 73 day. There could be some powerful code here for us to consider regarding the energetics. And as I've already taught you, we are leaving Mercury retrograde. We're in a time frame where Bitcoin typically does very well. It doesn't mean it's going to bode well for every single altcoin. And the reason I say this is a recap of something I brought up in my last in my last YouTube video, which has to do with Bitcoin dominance. Okay. And how Bitcoin dominance absolutely fell off a cliff, and that where it fell off was a back test of the 1618, which is a gorgeous move. So the fact that we did this and on the macro 0.5 fib, of course, this is like a micro fib within a macro fib. I know it's a little bit complicated, but from a technical perspective, this was beautiful because it led to major gains for the altcoins. But now that the altcoins have gotten up, Bitcoin's about to make its next move. And this liquidity is going to flow back into Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's going to make a major move, and altcoins are going to kind of be stable. But that's what you want, guys, because if Bitcoin then starts breaking into 120, 140, 150,000, maybe even gets up to the 200K level, which we'll come back to later on, that's better. Every $10,000 move for Bitcoin up is crazy liquidity that goes into your altcoins. So whether you hate Bitcoin or not, doesn't matter. You should want it to go up because that's the way this market works. So, I mean, I know I do, and it's not just because I'm a holder, it's because, this is kind of what my decodes pointed to. So if Bitcoin continues its rally up, as it did after the October 2nd solar eclipse, it's just, again, bringing more confidence to my decoding system, and that makes me feel like, wow, this information is very, very, very unique and powerful, and so far it's been playing out beautifully, and I only want to get better at this. You know, as anything else, we practice, but then when it's time to go to the game, we have to perform. Well, kind of watching the market perform after you've done all this practice and decoding and learning the charts and then seeing the performance go according to plan, that definitely makes you feel like you're onto something, right? So this solar and lunar cycle theory is very, very important, and I'm going to continue to follow it. But what we're at right now is also very similar to 2020. Before the crazy alt season really became noticeable. But we're already in an alt season, in my opinion. And it has everything to do with Total 3 being up where it is right now. Because once Total 3 is effectively retesting prior cycle highs, then that's what it is, you know? This is where we're at. Compared to back here in March, I was saying we are not in an alt season. All January and February, I said publicly, we are not in an alt season. Yes, alts went up a lot, but that's not an alt season because this is what happens at that phase. We had a 40% correction on Total 3, but you look at most altcoins and they lost 70%. All right. That's not a fucking alt season when you have a 70% correction that lasts you half a year. Okay. So please keep this stuff in mind. When I was saying that, it was me going against the herd. I was saying that at a time where we were watching altcoins go up 400%. So when you're hearing somebody say we're not in an alt season, but then you're looking at the prices go up, you're like, oh, you know, you don't know. It's like your wires get crossed. That's why I'm trying to teach you this system. So you see, like, it's not about these blanket terms. This is why, for me, the concept of price discovery is really powerful, because now we have a different way of looking at the pivots of the market. And when something comes up into the 702 fib and you think that that's equivocal to anticipation of price discovery, then there's some learning here to be accomplished, and that's perfectly fine. I hope that I could provide that. But yeah, that's a dangerous place to think that we're just going to keep going up more and more and more. Anyways, getting back to this lunar eclipse that I'm talking about, it lands on a 17 standard date numerology. 17 is the 7th prime number. So we're getting a lot of 7s here in our code. As I brought up earlier, 73, 21st prime number. 21 is 3 7, 7 plus 7 plus 7. Then we have the Saturday that'll be in Saturnalia. That's the 21st of December. Again, another 21 tied to Saturn, 21. And it's a 77 double-digit date numerology. So 7 plus 7 is 14. So we're getting even more 7s. 2 7s is 14, and we have the 77 power number as well. And speaking of Saturn, this ties back to Satoshi Nakamoto, as I already brought up. And we have the next birthday of this mythological being happening also on a Saturn day. So that's very important because this is the Satoshi's Jubilee, the 50th year. And taking December 21st this year over to April 5th, it equals 105 days. You remove the 0, you have the number 15 in the rules of numerology. Just like this date of December 21st is during the 51st week of this year, 51 being the mirror of number 15. So all in all, very powerful week ahead as we leave this full moon today and pivot into the third quarter, which will be the third quarter moon is next Sunday, the 22nd. That'll be when the next Red Pill podcast is released, actually, and that'll be leading into Christmas week. Now, before I get into the full TA section, I just wanted to cover this because so many people have reached out to me about it, and many minds have been blown since this announcement of this movie 28 years later. Now, before I go into, I mean, it's pretty crazy because if you've been following along here for even just a month, you've heard this. You've heard me bring up the movie 28 Days Later. So that's why I said it's been mind-blowing for some people. But what's absolutely wild about 28 years later is that it's set to release on June 20th, 2025. This is literally the summer solstice, the solstice. Think about this, family. Talk about an energy harvesting ritual. This is crazy. The fact that they're releasing it on that date. Now, some of you probably remember the decodes I was sharing around the U.S. election. And when Trump won, I came out with another decode talking more about the movie Donnie Darko. I talked about it before the election, too. It's one of the things that helped me to pick Donald Trump as the winner of that election. Again, Donald, and the connection to the Year of the Dragon. And the election that was happening back then during that movie between Prescott Bush and Michael Dukakis. And that movie made politics in the presidential election kind of a theme of the movie, actually. And it was because the movie was happening into that election cycle, very, very close, like around Halloween. Okay? So after that election happened and we saw how it went down, I brought up the movie 28 Days Later because Donnie Darko, the world is supposed to end 28 days after he woke up with that date written on his arm that he learned from effectively like a dream that he had. And this number was given to him by this rabbit named Frank. And that again ties to the Year of the Rabbit. So it's like a sequence here that's going on in this movie. And this is talking about when the world's going to end. All right? And remember, the way Donnie dies on that day, 28 days later, is with a airplane engine landing in his room. And what happened the year that this movie was released? 9/11. September 11, 2001. During the Year of the Snake. So Hollywood is giving us a script. And it's just up to us as decoders not to be biased, not to be so extreme, by the way, because there's a lot of symbolism. It's not to be taken to, like, when they talk about a zombie apocalypse, we're already in a zombie apocalypse. During C-19, when somebody told you to wear a mask and you said, I don't want to wear a mask, then they started getting upset at you and like judgmental and like hating on you and like scared of you. They were like turning into a zombie and they wanted to bite you. Like, we're already in a zombie apocalypse, guys. It's symbolic. When you walk into a bar now, you see everyone's just looking at their phones. We're already in a zombie apocalypse. It's just symbolic, okay? Now, of course, there's stages of the like, it could get really fucked up, but don't be so extreme with your decodes. Is kind of the disclaimer here, because as people learn how to decode, and I know this for the professional decoders that are in our community, I know you really appreciate what I'm saying right now, because this same logic and application and rationale could be added to how you look at the markets. Because when you're very extreme in markets, like these people that are saying XRP is going to 50 cents, well, then you can surely ride the wave of the sensationalism, but then when it never comes to fruition, like, what are you dealing with? The burden of all of that. You know? Anywho, I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, everyone has their own path and they have their own, roads to pave. But I hope this is wisdom to provide here. Getting back to 28 Days Later, another movie talking about like an apocalyptic, like post-apocalypse kind of, yeah. If you haven't watched it, maybe check it out. Could provide some context. But these two movies, Donnie Darko and 28 Days Later, were both tied to the Year of the Snake. 28 Days Later was filmed during the Snake Year. The filming effectively started in the Snake Year, and Donnie Darko released at Sundance Film Festival during the Year of the Snake in 2021. And this was the Snake Year with the 9/11 ritual, which was, of course, all scripted and done on purpose to push the USA into war. And that's what I feel is coming next year as well. And we're moving into the Year of the Snake in a little over a month. So I know that this Trump guy is talking a lot right now. We'll see his actions after inauguration. And I know that I have a global community, so I'm not here to speak American U.S. politics, because there's people in Australia tuning in. There's people in Singapore tuning in Japan. Like, we're a global community. We have people all over the place. And to me, talking about politics is exhausting, because it never changed my life. My life only got better when I started putting my prana into what I can actually do with my time and my life. Not worried about what the fucking New World Order scam artists are promising me. So however it goes, I know that Trump is seemingly very anti-war, but I would not get too hopeful to that, because a lot of presidents were anti-war in this stage before inauguration, and then once an event happened, they changed their tune. So a Black Swan event is something that could very well be in the cards. And if I had to give timeframes, it would be March or April 2025. They're on my radar for sure. And then as well as September, October. So you can just take those two phases of next year and mark them on your calendars. Those would be a Black Swan event timeframes that could potentially push the USA into the next conflict. But we'll cover that more in depth in my Year of the Snake Decoded, which is set to release next month. And if you want a sneak peek of that decode, it's actually in my crypto decoding blueprint, which I was just talking about a little bit earlier regarding this decoding mastermind. So it's already available for you to check out if you want. And if I believe it's about a 25 minute long sneak peek. So it's a lot more than a sneak peek. It's like almost half an hour long. It's a very solid foundation for the full length presentation that I'll have releasing next month. And you know that I'll be bringing up this 28 years later. At least I'll try to remember to, as part of that decode as well. So now let's get into the charts, everyone. We're going to start with Bitcoin as usual, just because we want to recap a couple things. But of course, naturally, we kind of want to focus on the altcoins today. But Bitcoin's moments away from making a very important move. And it closed off last week. Oh, God, why does this chart do that? It's just the candle discrepancy. So it's good to know, like, you want to look at your candles that they're starting where they finish off. Like you see here, closes there, it opens here. But on this, it's closing here and it's opening here. So what the fuck's going on? Those discrepancies are something you have to look out for. But anyways, we closed off last week at 101K. And then we had a correction and people lost their fucking shit. And then now we're back, like, now we're at 103K. We could be effectively closing this week at 103K. Like, just everyone chill. Right now, this is the moment where there's the most volatility. Okay? And I'm still sticking to my overall statement that I've been saying, no more pullbacks, because any pullback we get, it will only be like 2 days. It'll be like 48 hours and then it'll be bought back up. So that's not a pullback. A pullback is this shit. When we have weeks and weeks, and this is a pullback. This is 49 days, 7 weeks, and has a flash bull trap as well. That's something I'm open-minded to. But a 30% move for like XRP, for instance, that happens in 48 hours, it's just liquidity going AWOL right now because the market maker can see clearly that this whole market is over-leveraged. This is leverage that's causing this. And it all happens fast, okay? This is not sustained damage, though, is what's most important. You had your pullbacks with XRP. Like, everything is going to be bought up very rapidly, all right? That it just, look, from this wick right here to where we're at right now, we're up already 25%. Who cares about this, okay? And stop trying to buy the perfect levels. That's another, like, a horrible thing to do at this stage right now. Again, I was here the last cycle tracking it publicly, actually, for the most part. So I have like the scar tissue and the calluses on my hands to prove that I went through that. I went through the whole bear market, also tracking it, went through this recovery stage, you know, so by now I've just studied this market enough to not get fazed by this stuff. And I think it's important none of you do either. Okay. Because right now the concept of no pullbacks is just in regards to whatever we do to the downside, it's just going to be bought right back. That's not a pullback. That's just a liquidity, I would just say that's a liquidity problem. We have too much over-leveraged longs at an already expensive price for the most part, and the market maker says, fuck off, and they pull the plug, and they coordinate a short against everyone to liquidate you, to take your coins. It's likely the exchanges that are doing this to you too, which is why I don't support any exchanges. I know what they're here to do. It's all part of the New World Order. Play the game, don't let the game play you. Okay? Whenever you hear me talk about exchanges or hardware wallets or even crypto coins, I say it's all more alike than it is different. All right? It's all a fucking scam of fairy dust moving us into a technocratic world order. To me, it's just an opportunity. Play the game. Don't get too emotional about this stuff, okay? But a 24-hour, 48-hour move to the downside that's bought right back up the next 48 hours is not a pullback. It's just it's a moment. It's a chance. You either took action or you didn't, but stop crying about it, okay? And I say this because that like boo-hoo energy, it's just not going to work here in the wolf pack. Like, we're going to be very quick to reprimand that behavior right now. And I know that sounds a little strict, but we have the most open policy for talking about anything you want to talk about. I'm just saying that kind of like complainer sort of vibe, that's not going to work. You know, no crybabies. We're in the market. It's big boy. We're in the big leagues. Okay. Anyways, things are looking good. We had our weekly close above 100K. I still see us as sideways, especially because we're trading on a Sunday. I brought this up in my last post, to expect pretty much generally sideways. And it's important to not get too excited about what's happening right now, because Chicago Mercantile Exchange could open up in a couple hours and this could get sucked all back down. So I'm not saying it will happen, but just remember that last Sunday was very bullish, and then look what happened on Monday. All right. And I wouldn't be shocked if that pattern is kind of the case. Like, look at this Monday. This was a 5% move to the downside. Monday, November 25th. Monday, December 9th. Another big red candle. But we're looking at the trend is clear, right? And this is the same trend we were doing back in 2020. Right here. This grind to the upside before we popped off. And then this was seemingly more glorious. But this right here was during Christmas week. This is the week we're moving into. We did break out, but you see this right there is something that's really important because it's likely if we are to play it out very similarly, it could be the 2020 situation for the altcoins. So let me just quickly, I showed this in my last YouTube video, by the way, so this might not be brand new to you all. But you see Bitcoin was breaking out into price discovery right there, actually making brand new all-time highs. But look to the right as the cursor moves. You're going to see it to the right as we moved up for Bitcoin. We actually corrected for Chainlink and all the other altcoins, by the way. If that happens, guys, that's your pullback. That's your dip. Either you buy it or shut up. Like, no more of this. And some of you should be happy about my frustration in this all, because when you're used to seeing the market do what this does, and then you have people that are complaining who've only been in this market for 6 months, it's like, yikes. Like, we're in the NBA right now, guys. Like, and we're moments away from going to the championship. It gets squirrely, all right? But like, there's no complainers when you're in the playoffs. Just play the game. Or be the towel boy. It's one or the other. It's so funny to say this, but like, it needs to be said, man, because we just need mosquito repellent right now more than ever. And it doesn't normally happen in our community. It's typically more, on the socials, and that's fine. I have the stomach for that. I'm just saying, people who have FOMO right now, who are brand new to this market, a lot of them some of those enter places like this right now, and they are not self-reliant. They're just asking, like, do I buy now? What do I do? Do I sell? Like, and it's that's hard to navigate right now. We're late. So effectively any dips are just buying opportunities, and let's leave it at that. But this move up expansion phase for Bitcoin into Christmas week, effectively the week that we're about to move into, it actually did take a lot of liquidity away from altcoins as Bitcoin dominance rose. And then you see when Bitcoin made a move from 17,000 to 41,000, that's 134%. Well, if you take the same time horizon, what would it be right there? That would be daily close to daily close. Pretty much. Match it up. From the 12th, over here it says the 11th to the 8th, whatever. It's effectively the same. While Bitcoin was up 134%, Chainlink was up 33%, and also Chainlink experienced in the midst of that a 40-something% correction, which I'm not saying that the altcoins are going to experience next week, because most of that was a wick. So if I go from daily close, this is why it's important to add context, because if I go from the daily close, it was only 19%. That's nothing, okay? Nada. All right. So the daily closes are all that matters. These tails to the downside are irrelevant, in my opinion, because every exchange is going to have different data. Anyways, I'm going to summarize this by saying, if this is what plays out over the next 2 weeks, enjoy. And if Bitcoin becomes the talk of the town, get happy, because it's expanding and you want that for altcoins. So I don't need to spend too much time on the TA for Bitcoin, because it's effectively the same thing. We're in price discovery. And when you're in price discovery, everything is theoretical. You have no data to really work with on how you can anticipate this breaking out, besides very, very new data that's forming in front of your eyes each day. That's all we can do. I've already explained my really higher upside targets, but for now, I was aiming for that 12% move for the month of December is our average. Right now, we're already at 7%. So if we were to play this exactly how Bitcoin seasonality goes, that would be somewhere around 108. We talked about this before. But I think there's a potential higher move for Bitcoin, and we could even get to the 115 to 120 by the end of this year, depending on the speed or the velocity of the breakout and the way the liquidity comes in. Now, just look at 120K would only be a 24% move from open. But last month, we made a 37% move. Over here in February of 2024, we made a 43% move. So it wouldn't be impossible for us to get to that level, is what I'm trying to say. 120 during this month into New Year's for the Black Moon. And perhaps, sure, we could have a little correction in the beginning of January, just like we did here. We're looking at a monthly candle, and you don't even realize this, but during this month, we actually had a 34% pullback. Pullback. I like hate say it's like I want to delete that word from my fucking vocabulary. I hate it because everyone's memeing it now. But anyways, look, this is January. You had a 30% correction, but it didn't matter because we just kept going. But this is a legitimate pullback, to be honest. This is 3 weeks. That we call that a pullback, not something that happens in 48 hours. It's fucking irrelevant. This is an actual multi-week corrective, lower highs, lower lows. That's legitimate. Okay, that would be a legitimate correction. So that would be like the move for Bitcoin up to potentially as high as like 140. But we'll have to see how it plays out. Regarding the timing, it's not worth getting so detailed right now. But we are close. We are very close. Let's move on to ETH. Yeah, ETH getting rejected for the second time at this 888 fib. I did anticipate that, and I do still anticipate quite a bit more of a move for Bitcoin in order to see expansion for Ethereum. And it has everything to do with just looking back at the last cycle as we were once doing. So right here, December, this right there is when Bitcoin was already at all-time highs. Look at how, oh, by the way, this is January 8th. Bitcoin was already 100% higher than its all-time high from the last cycle. But you see how ETH was still below its all-time high? I expected it to go the same way, which is why I kept telling people, like with ETH, we can see Bitcoin go much higher into price discovery and still see a $4,000 ETH. And I've been saying this for like past 2 or 3 months. That's why my updates on ETH have been pretty lackluster, because there's nothing to say. It's just the Bitcoin show right now, and Ethereum will pop off soon. But look at how it took until February 7th for ETH to start breaking all-time highs, and it did a really elusive move right here. A 40% move followed by a 34% pullback to retest the prior all-time highs before this like Christmas tree top. This was disgusting. Really ugly style of breakout. But look at how long it took to catch up is kind of what I'm saying. It took a while for it to catch up to Bitcoin. I think we're in the same phase now. It's pretty clear. So we're around the 888, and Bitcoin has already broken to price discovery all the way up from 69,000 to 103,000, right? And we're at so that would be like kind of a way to look at this. I think we would need that move of like 120K Bitcoin to start seeing ETH break into new all-time highs. So that'd be above 5K. And I want to focus on that today. Just the timing of everything, because I know that's what you guys are really most interested in. Now, XRP, I'm just going to do like short-term analysis, because we've already been tracking the micro, right? And I think this is a really cool chart. I'm going to go to the 4-hour, smaller time frame, but I think it's very powerful to look at the market this way. I'm going to adjust this a little bit. It's not the most important thing on earth, but it's clear that we have resistance. We always adjust as we go, right? Again, I love my recipe comment. When we do TA, it's like a recipe too. We have our ingredients. We have a protocol, right? You don't throw the potatoes in a cold oven. You got to fucking preheat the oven first. And you don't just throw the sliced potatoes at the bottom of the oven. You have to put it into a dish, like a baking tray. Like, everything has protocol. Well, TA and looking at the world is the same. We're all just cooking here, all right? And I bring this up to say that when you are making a recipe, you refine your seasonings as you go. So you add more salt if you want, right? That's what we're doing here. That's all TA is. I know explaining it this way is probably the way it should have always been explained, because this is what actually makes the most sense and resonates with humanity. Instead, we've complicated things. We've made it complicated. And people think my decoding is complicated, and I get that because it's quite esoteric. But for me, because I've studied the occult and esoterica and put so much work into this for at least a decade now, it's normal to me, right? Like if you're a farmer, it's normal to get muddy boots. If you're somebody who lives on a beach, it's normal to have sand in your covering your floors at home. It's normal to have sandy feet. Like, you just kind of get used to that world that you live in. It's no different. I've gotten used to this world and I've tried my best to simplify it the most I possibly can. But I'm going with a different approach today for XRP because I think you'll all appreciate the fact that we have been respecting this white trend line pretty nicely. And I guess effectively we could also adjust a little bit, but it doesn't matter to me. All in all, a trend line doesn't have to be perfect because we have to account for leverage. Leverage fucks this all up. So it's okay. This bull flag that's forming looks very clean. Now, you can call this the start of the staff if you want. I, again, do not care. But this shows a breakout target somewhere around the $4 level, and that would make sense. If XRP is going to break out, we should be breaking into a new high, a new all-time high. And we have a lot of exchanges saying 330, and we have some exchanges saying about 380. So this basically tells me that if we're going to play this bull flag out, we have a new all-time high ahead of us. And then I've already gone into in depth my 640 to 860 target as like an initial surge into price discovery. So what I just said now about 4, that's not the end. And what I said about 640 to 860, that's not the end either. I see higher targets, but we take it one step at a time. Just like when you're baking something, you preheat the oven before you put the raw food in there. Please, guys, context is everything. So I made an entire podcast dedicated to XRP last week regarding my targets. It would not be fair for me to keep sucking up so much time to put into this thing when it's pretty much the thing I've been covering the most lately. I'm just letting you know that this pattern right now that's forming is very bullish. It looks very nice. As for downside, it would still make sense that we could be held up by this 190 level. But one other thing to mention is that with this weekly close, we would also be likely holding a weekly close above $2.40. And on the bi-weekly, I feel this is a very important thing to bring up. This bi-weekly would be another green bi-weekly close. And this looks fine right now. It's not a doji. I don't love candlestick analysis for altcoins, so it's no point of even going there, but this is fine. Yes, clearly sell pressure, but we anticipated that, right? It's anticipated after you have a 500% move or whatever, like 482% move in just like a month and 1 week. You're going to have sell pressure at prior all-time highs, okay? So this is fine. I'm not worried about this at all. And I'm, again, just refer back to earlier part of this decode talking about the 51st week of the year and the $3 XRP around New Year's. But don't meme it, all right? Don't turn this into a meme. Water is a $3 New Year's. Shh. Like dad telling you to shut up from the other room. Like, shh. Puerto Rican grandma throws the chancla at you. So shh. I'm not going to deal with it this cycle, guys. I've been through it before. I've blood, sweat, and tears poured into this art. You don't even understand. I barely take any time off, and to have so much of this like soul poured into this, to have somebody reduce it all down to a sentence and turn it into a meme is gross. It's horrible. So I'm just being a real one. And if you don't resonate with that, I'm sorry. Maybe this isn't for you. But I'm an artist, and I think artists get to select who they perform for. And I think that kind of confidence is something we need again, because the whole world has become spectators in the comments section and very rarely creators, mostly consumers. And those are the people that do that. When I consume, I don't convert everything into a meme. It's crazy because there's a whole work of art being presented here, and that's important. So just be chill about the way that we're navigating all of this, because again, it's the most volatile asset class, pretty much one of, and we've been pretty damn accurate on huge time horizons, not so important to be focused on a couple days when 6 months, 10 months. I mean, we have awareness of when the next bear market could start, to the month, to the day. Having that information is powerful. So Filecoin, new venture capital position, a decentralized data storage marketplace on the blockchain. This is one of those charts that looks so bad that it's just a Hail Mary pass. This is me like in the fourth quarter with 10 seconds left going hike and then just fucking launching it into the sky and hoping for the best. I'm being honest. This is a shit coin. This is a horrendous chart. Look, this is 2018. This thing is still trading like when Bitcoin was, what, $1,000? It's still trading at that same price. You probably were not expecting me to say this, right? When Bitcoin was like $1,000, this thing is trading at... No, that's not fair, right? It must have been $4,000. I don't know. But Bitcoin's $100,000 today, which is superseding what Bitcoin was doing back in April of 2021 now by quite a bit. And this thing is still down quite a lot. So why invest in it then? Well, when I see things like this and I'm aware of the timing of where we're at, which could very well be like right here, well, why wouldn't I want to take a chance on the Hail Mary pass before it does that? And that's how I'm looking at this play. So this is one of those where like a little goes a long way. With charts that look like this. Jesus. This is bad. This is bad. This thing is down 97% from all-time high. It has a potential move of 3,500% if it could get back to all-time highs, so I am willing to bank on that. Let me see if I have any TA. I don't even have any TA started on this. This was literally me going, you know what? I can just look at the last cycle and I could tell how many of these I missed out on. Actually, that's the learning lesson I want to quickly examine with you all. How many things I could have bought here that I didn't. And then the market did that. Yeah, that's all. I don't care about anything else right now. To me, I rather not put my energy into even learning about these technologies or any of that shit, right? Because it's just speculation and it's timing. And crypto is all about timing. And I'm sure people over here were like, oh, this is an amazing project. There's so much. The dev team, oh, you guys don't even know. This shit's going to go to $1 billion. And then it lost 99% from the top. It returned all the way back to the prior fucking bear market. And then it's still since recovered. So you can sing the song and dance the dance over here, and you just disregard the fact that the only reason this is doing this is because Bitcoin has spilled over all of its liquidity into this dog shit. And I know that sounds very direct and very spicy, but it's like, please, we're at that time in the bull run where like wasting your time is what's going to distract you from having the most profitable couple of months of your existence. Because that's what this was. I mean, in the stock market, you're not making 3,000% in 300 days. And a majority of this move, I mean, pretty much started to come in at, yeah. Now, that's a pretty long time horizon. I'm not saying that we can mimic that speed. I mean, maybe it's also not fair to perfectly match every cycle as it is for altcoins, because altcoins are not Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has many things on its side that could kind of point to the cyclical nature of its price behavior, whilst this doesn't. So that's, again, me being very vulnerable and honest. But that's the whole point of this being venture capital. Venture capital means if the money I put in it burns and goes to zero, I'm okay because I did not put too much in it. I didn't speculate too much on it. And how do I determine to do that? Well, I look at the charts. I've covered Filecoin in the last... I must have covered it this year sometime, maybe even multiple times. Maybe I do have a chart where I do TA on it. I'm not sure. But for right now, like a lot of my mindset is going to be like, buy whatever looks super cheap right now. That's kind of the mindset. And try to stay away from things that are looking very expensive, which would be stuff that's either trading near all-time highs or at new all-time highs. And I have one exception, and it's going to come up in a moment. So this isn't to be, what's the term? When you say one thing and do the other. I forgot. A hypocrite. Like, again, when we're talking venture capital, there's room for hypocrisy, because you'll see why. Like, everything at this moment is speculation. Like, look at the Bored Ape NFTs back in Like, who cares? You know, everyone was trying to come up with a reason why NFTs would go up forever. And a lot of those people were NFT holders. And I don't know if you guys seen this one Netflix show with Tim Dillon. It's absolutely amazing. It's funny. It's maybe not the greatest thing ever, but like it's kind of like a Jerry Springer vibe. It's super funny. And the one guy like talks about how he bought all these NFTs in the 2021 cycle and how much debt he's in now, and he like didn't tell his wife about it. And then like the episode is him meeting up with his wife. It's amazing. Watch it. Watch it. So like yeah, all of the kind of investment thesis stuff that's happening at the very end of a cycle, it doesn't live on this universe anymore. In crypto especially, it's all speculation. It's all just like how, right? When we have meme coins that just make these crazy moves, it's just la la land. Okay, so this is a Hail Mary pass for me. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I'm going to move on, but even just for this to come back to the 888 fib, I'm looking at a 2000% move. That's all. That's all. If it could come back to the 888, I would feel glory in that. I mean, what would $100 with that 2000% move? Pretty sick. Like, now obviously it's just multiplicity. Just turn $500 into 10 grand. Not saying it will happen, but that's why I'm calling it a Hail Mary pass. I gave the disclaimer from the start. Dog shit chart. I don't care about the dev team or anything like that. None of that. There's no emotions. There's no relationship here. All of that stuff doesn't serve you as investors either. I know that's going to ruffle a lot of feathers, but whatever. I really don't care. AMP, a decentralized collateral system on the Ethereum blockchain for centralized payments, making them instant and secure. This is not a new venture capital position for me. I actually made my first investment in this back in April of this year during this flash correction right there. So this is by no means my best entry, but it's such a small portion of my portfolio that it doesn't really faze me. And it has a lot of upside potential just returning back to where it was in the last bull run, somewhere around 11 to 12 cents. So again, it's kind of in that same realm of the last project we just looked at, Filecoin. Which is why Filecoin is a brand new one for me, because any charts that I see that sort of look like this, I'm like, sign me up, venture capital, whatever, throw $500 in it, turn it into 10 grand. Like, I'm on that energy right now. Okay. It's really when we're at the end of a bull run that you want to have the most like fancy system in place. And when we're nearing the bottom of a bear market is when you want to have a perhaps more fancy system in place. But still, if you bought the bottom of AMP, you're up 500% on this project that has a horrible chart, absolutely like random. One of many that basically does the same thing. A lot of projects all do the same thing also. We know this. So, yeah, this was one of those plays that, again, it just has one of those charts where I see a lot of upside potential. For it to only get back to the 888 fib is getting me somewhere around, well, I assume I'm somewhere around here with my investment, like 7 cents. So yeah, it's like almost 1,000% move just to get back to this chop right there, which is very important, by the way. 7 cents for AMP is everything. Lots of chop, crown distributional top, ugly, ugly, ugly. These things keel over. Just because there's no expansion and there's a clear sell wall. So yeah, if it could just get back to there, I'm pulling off 1,000% move, whatever. That's kind of how I'm looking at this one. Let's move on to Immutable X. So a layer 2 scaling solution for NFT. I hope you guys don't like take me so seriously today. Like I'm in a very silly mood. I need to be because I've been working so much that I'm like about to become the guy who like goes to an absinthe bar in Czech Republic and like, like start growing a crazy wizard beard. Like that's how much I'm working lately. I'm like close to just not even whatever. What is it? Who cares? But it's also a very freeing feeling. And I've been working with a lot of clients lately. A lot of people have been booking client calls, and that's where I've been really like able to zone in and do some amazing communications. But with these, like, I couldn't even do a live stream yesterday because I was working too hard on other things, on other priorities. So yeah, this one's a little more silly, but I need to. Anyways, IMX, a layer 2 scaling solution for NFTs. And the reason I'm going with this is because I feel NFT mania will return, and likely in the same fashion that it did in 2021. Speaking of NFTs, we had this mania happening effectively at the top of the market. But when it comes to chart structure, I actually like what I'm seeing here. If I just erase this whole bear market structure, I really like. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more on this and show you what I mean. So we have a clear buying climax to selling climax. And here I could be fair enough to say that we've had a automatic rally because we did clear the 382 and we peaked out at the 0.5 fib. So that's fair. And then we had a correction down below the 236 again, which I could also like entertain as a spring if you'd like. The time frame that we traded below this level was about the exact same time frame as we did with the selling climax and the same style, this W breakout vibe. And then officially breaking above the 236 again allowed us to go into the SOS, a sign of strength. Now, why I really like this is because, sorry, the fib is like a little bit, I pulled this fib this way, by the way, because I don't trust this launch data. I went through, like, I think CoinGecko and Coin Market Cap to try to get more information. So if you're seeing this discrepancy with the fib pull, excuse me, it's just like I'm not able to work with good information, right? I'm like a paleontologist trying to find like a skeleton in like layers of debris. Yeah, this is not helpful to have a chart that launches like this and has this type of anyways. This whole behavior around the golden pocket and then returning back to the 382 is what pretty much everything did. But the fact that this came back to the 382 and bounced, I really like. Now, I have this trend line drawn because it's clear that it's playing a big role in the IMX story. So I think we need to clear this and the 702, which is in alignment with this move right here. So after the SOS, we had a pretty substantial correction. And then this was your bull trap, like a micro bull trap within the whole move. And then we broke lower to the 382. So coming back to that level, which is effectively the 702, is really highly likely. And then it's after that move breaking above it is when we could start anticipating a retest of these prior highs back in late 2021. So that's the play there. As for major upside potential, I can entertain back above $10 again. And I put the $24 mark here because X is the logo. It's called a mutable X, and X is the 24th letter in the alphabet. And it would be hilarious if like both IMX and XRP could hit $24, because IMX would actually be more profit from where we're trading at now. I am not saying that this is the better investment, but I am saying that this could be your it's close. 240 XRP, $1.80 IMX, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, like that could be price-wise sort of like the way I would perceive, like it's your way of perceiving it to keep things very, very simple and to not take too much time on this. But I hope this all makes sense. That kind of move would not be the craziest thing in the world. Very possible during an alt season, and it's 1,000% up from here. So I just showed you a couple 2,000% moves. Why couldn't this go up 1,000%? We're going on to Echelon Prime. So this is a very strange investment for me, I do admit. But really quickly, Echelon Prime is a platform for games that aims to advance Web3 gaming. Prime is the native token to support a decentralized gaming ecosystem. It's essentially their utility token that unlocks access to gated products, services, and experiences within the Echelon ecosystem. So to sum all that word salad up, it's effectively speculation on steroids. So anyone who's touting this as like a good long-term investment, be afraid. But in crypto land, that just means opportunity. And this chart is effectively in price discovery to the upside. So That means buyers are speculating on it, clearly. Bulls are speculating on this. So I do like the fact that it topped in March like everything else. It had a 80% mid-cycle correction, which a lot of projects did. And then it started to form this structure right here. And when we broke above this level at 1240, that feels like a big macro M pattern is playing out. But I need to show a couple of trend lines on this because this might be the first time I've ever done TA on this project. I should really take a sip of water. It's been 1 second, guys. All right. So we have a couple of rejections, which was short-lived up until the peak when we got very overbought. And then we corrected down to this level. And then when we effectively broke down from it, we kind of cascaded to the downside. Then we've recovered since back to the same level. So that's the key level, 1580, or just call it $15 to $16. But for those of you that know how to work the M pattern, this is kind of what we're dealing with here, which means that we could pull a trend line. And we're going to go from around the neckline down to the absolute low. And this is fair to do on an altcoin. Usually, like, you'd want to do it on the daily close. Now that would retest, or actually be, let's just call it a retest of the prior peak. So we'll keep that nice and simple and draw another ray up there, which I would have done anyways. Multiple touch points, somewhere around 26. Now, what we're going to also do is pull a fib, because with an 80% move, that's fair to do. We're going to make sure this setting is off because we're logarithmic, looking at a log, or sorry, we're looking at it on a logarithmic scale, but we want to look at this fib specifically in linear, and we have $42 ahead. So that's stop one for our journey, and we're looking at about 200%, but usually we make it up to the 4236 to 4618, and there of course is stuff that goes up to even the 10 spot fib extension during a crazy bull run. So we're going to put that up to about 103 or 110 ish, and that's not crazy. That's not crazy at all. Another thing is we probably have some supports that are macro supports that we could draw out for the future. I'm not sure if we go up into another phase of price discovery, if we come back to this and hold it, we'll assess that in another time. But I'm just letting you know kind of some of these areas to the top. Now I'm going to turn this off and I'll put this back on and look at where my logarithmic 1618 is. So it's around 168. So that, or sorry, it's about 84, excuse me. So that gives us the level that I'd really keep an eye on with a major upside move. And from where we're trading at now, that's more like it. But again, this is very, very speculative. And this project already, since the October eclipse, if it's able to move that much, it would be about 3,300%, which is where I aim most of my VC positions. I'd rather keep them with that like 2,000 to 2,500% move. But I don't feel that this is unfair to speculate this to hit these levels. Now, of course, I want to give this some time because there's no chart history on this thing. There's only chart history back to 2023. So if we go much, much higher than 107, I could care less because honestly, it's venture capital, and that's how you treat venture capital. You don't want to sell venture capital too early, okay? But you also need to kind of test the waters, all right? If everybody in the market is very bullish and everyone's happy and yeah, and Elon goes on Saturday Night Live again, or, you know, Michael Saylor has some videotape from Epstein Island that gets released. It's like, fucking sell this shit, you know? Because, like, that's what the New World Order uses to bait us into stuff and then to also dump on us. So I think that was actually pretty thorough analysis on a project that has barely any chart history. Very speculative in the gaming sector, which I'm going to continue to invest in for the long term, just because I can see that that's where we're heading, like Ready Player One, right? Now the next one is the Sandbox and Gala, and it's just going to be a quick recap because I covered these just a couple weeks ago during Red Pill 192, the most recent What I'm Investing in podcast. And to quickly summarize what those projects are, they're both Blockchain-based gaming platforms. Of course, do your own research on these if you want more details, but it's essentially my bet on blockchain gaming, along with Echelon Prime that I just covered a couple moments ago, and Axie Infinity, which I invested in back on the same April correction, April 13th, flash correction. And since I haven't covered that in some time, I believe I might have forgotten to add that in my recent What I'm Investing in podcast. I'll just go ahead and say this. All three of these projects, Sandbox, Gala, and Axie Infinity, they're effectively the same when it comes to the technical analysis. So to save time, because it truly is the case, all of their charts are synchronized together, and it shows you how the ecosystems tend to move in harmony with each other. So for this TA example, we'll just cover all three of these in one regarding the technicals, and we'll wrap up with a couple of your guys' picks after this. So a couple things to mention. The one that I've been talking about a lot lately is just measuring back to the prior all-time high. And with sand, you see we got about a 1,000% move up. So still a ton of room to go. We're below the macro 382. Let me pull this as much as I can. We're still trading below the macro 382. We have peaked a little bit above it, but that's by no means like a solid confirmation that we're ready to move up into the golden pocket, but we're close. So that's very, very good to see. Effectively, we could be moving up into the golden pocket, likely with Ethereum breaking into price discovery. So once ETH starts moving into that like $5,000 range, a lot of these projects that I've just covered now, including Gala and Axie, will probably be getting closer to the golden pockets. Now, that's fucking music to everyone's ears, because that would mean you got about a 400% move ahead on here. And Gala, you're looking at, again, 500, 400, 500% move. Axie Infinity, what's going on with this? 600% move. Axie Infinity, I think, has a lot of upside potential too. Yeah, like 1,900%. Gala, 1,600. You'll notice something though about their structure. They keep pumping all together. It's the same. It's all the same. All right. So it's just a bet across the board on some of these speculative gaming tokens. This synchronicity between ETH getting into price discovery, breaking above $5,000 and closing a weekly candle above there would align with like a 400 to 500% move ahead on sand. That is, for me, amazing. You know, to be completely honest, I would rather just kind of invest in stuff like this right now than try to get into things like Solana, you know, while they're already so high up. So yeah, I guess I could kind of just wrap this one up there on that, because it's kind of filled in on all the other, it's just copying and mimicking a lot of the TA I just shared, and there's no reason for me to go too deep into the weeds on that stuff. So let me open up ICP. Insane Clown Posse token. Yeah, this one's pretty crazy too. Mamma mia. Yeah, if we could return back to all-time highs in this, which again, it's kind of tough because there was no rise up into this. This was like a public release on things like Coinbase and a couple other exchanges. But yeah, it's kind of fitting the charts of a couple things I just went over, right? Like really, really down. Not even higher than where it was in March. So even that's kind of positive. And then if you look back to like September 2021, around this time of breaking through this golden pocket, but like having this $100 level retested would be a 700% move. So just keep that in mind. Like there's a lot of upside potential in things like ICP, although I don't want to. And like the one thing that I have an issue with about ICP is the story about how this launched, how like it was only insiders that got in on it super fucking early. And then when it launched public, to the public, they dumped on everyone. And that was right when they listed it on Coinbase and all these exchanges. So it was an orchestrated attack basically on the hype of who's invested in it and the fact that they sold on your asses. And it at the time had like the third highest market cap. So it went from being nothing to having this crazy fucking market cap, and then it slid. Sorry. 99.56%. Like, I'm not cool with shit like that. Like, just knowing the stories that are like, you can't escape those stories, right? It's like the thing that happened with Terra Luna or Celsius or SBS, Sam Bankman-Fried with FTX. It's like you can't just get away from those stories. When it's real people, yeah, I don't know, man. Fuck this company and all the people that are involved in it. Like, if that's the way you're going to do it, I don't give a shit. It's just lame. Super lame. But and it shows the weakness in the investors, and it shows the weakness and in the overall kind of market participants. Like, if you look at the Binance coin project, BNB, that held up through CZ's arrest, through so many things. It held up. I'm not saying it's the best investment, but like, they aren't dumping on you guys. Like, they are whales. They're one of the biggest Bitcoin holders on earth. But I'm just saying, like, it's an interesting world we're in right now, where like people like Michael Saylor and Sam Bankman-Fried and all of these like big players in the game are riding the wave of a cultural moment, the same way these fuckers did it back in the .com bubble. Don't forget it. You think Michael Saylor's like a good guy? Study the .com bubble. You'll learn something different. It's like, I want that man out of Bitcoin. I don't even want to hear him talk about it. He exhausts me. Anybody like real people, these technocrats that are just taking advantage of a cultural moment, are parasites to me. They're vampires. And it's sickening how like they go from having one opinion to a total 360 other opinion when they figure out a way to take your money. Because that's all MicroStrategy did, was they figured out a way to take their investors' money. Yeah, anyways. ICP, it's just a really exaggerated chart. Perhaps it's going to be a part of the alt season like everything else, but it's not a good chart. It's not a healthy looking chart. I can't really say anything positive about it. The story is obviously very, very negative too. I know some people might want to correct me in the story. I might not have gotten it 100% correct, but I'm pretty sure it's something similar to that. Okay, this is more interesting to me. Telcoin. Also, why does everyone care about investing in ICP? Because they got a ton of votes. You guys think there's going to be some breakthrough, some connection, some partnership? Yeah, well, they told you all that shit before it went public too. So, I'm just over it with these technocrats, man. Fuck them. Telcoin. This looks good. I'm looking at the bi-weekly chart, by the way. Fuck. Okay, this looks great. Very cool. We had a prior cycle. We're trading at around like, look at how low we were during the C19 crash, and even to the bottom of our recent bear market, Telcoin was up 740%. So if you bought even the backup phase on Telcoin to the absolute lows of the bear market, you're up 500%. Like, that's sick. A lot of altcoins did not do this. 4,000% if you're still holding. Off the bear market, up 500%. Looks great. Lots of structure built below the 236. I like this. High, higher, high, higher, high. It's fine. It's about to get into the golden pocket though, so it's like a little too close for me to personally. I need to stop investing in new projects because it's getting too many. It's so funny. I made a promise to myself that I wasn't gonna go crazy on the altcoins in 2024, and it's not that I lied. It's just like, it's an opportunity, man. And I'm good at the TA, so I know what baskets all move together, so I could kind of just know when to bulk sell and how to bulk set my limit orders. But anyways, I find this to be pretty cool project based on the chart right now, because I have some past history and I could see that it could hold up from cycle to cycle. 800% to the prior all-time high. I mean, that's fucking great. That's great. I mean, if it goes to $1, shit. If it could. If we're about to have one... No, maybe not. That's a little crazy. Sorry. Gotta be honest here, dude. It's not honesty. It's fucking madness. 4236, where are we at? God damn it. Okay, 30 cents. Yeah, that's why you guys gotta be careful when you're pulling fibs. You can't just like take it at face value. You have to do some percentages because got to be in reality. I mean, fuck, 3,500% move. Okay, this is not bad. This I like. I like this. It's like Oops, cancel. Control Alt Delete. Okay. I mean, if it can clear the 3 cent level, then we're breaking into price discovery shortly after him. Then that would be like alone in and of itself 1,000% move. So yeah, this is primed. I would say if somebody's looking for a discounted investment with upside potential, it's this. Excuse me, Filecoin, and then Sandbox Gala. Sure, Axie Infinity is like straight up a joke. But fuck, it had an amazing cycle in the last cycle, so can't sleep on that if you're looking to play the alt season move. But yeah, you're talking about short-term capital gains tax, so a lot of taxes on these unless you're positioned in them early. You need to be very well aware of that. A lot of people don't live in a tax haven, so just giving the disclaimer. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap today's episode up here. Talcoin looks pretty cool. As for the TA on it, it's just really about getting past this 3 cent level, and I think once it could break that, it's gonna do very very well. Will likely break into price discovery, while a lot of other things I can't necessarily say the same. And this does have potential to go to above 20 cents, and if that's the case, that would be a crazy move. Maybe I'll invest a little bit in it. I don't know. I probably shouldn't, but I might. I don't know. I'm just having fun in the gambling casino with very small amounts of money, very small portions of my overall portfolio. Please remember that. We're talking about 1 to 2% of my overall portfolio, guys. These are not big investments, but I think it was fun to do this follow-up episode here from my What I'm Investing in special. I'm not sure what to call this one. Maybe like the Venture Capital podcast, my new investments. I'm not sure, but it's been great. Really lots of laughs during this one, lots of fun. Bitcoin's looking great, but remember, it was looking really great last Sunday too. We had a little tumble on Monday, but we were bought right back up. So if we get any volatility to start the week because the stock market's open, relax. It's important to just chill right now, guys. Let this market do its thing. We're more likely to move up than to end the bull run now. So I think today's episode was perfectly timed because there are a lot of opportunities still left in this market. So I'm going to wrap this one up here. I love you guys. Appreciate you all. Again, I do have that holiday sale that's running on the website for right now. It's over at watersabove.com/store. You could use the promo code at checkout. It's 25MMX, and I'll have that written in the description and in the pinned comment below. Really am grateful for all of your continued support. Wishing you all a beautiful rest of your weekend in the Matrix. Much love.